All right, welcome in. This is Eagles Mailbag. This is where we take your questions. Check's going to try to answer them to the best of his ability. He's Andrew DiCecco. I'm Ricky Vitalico. You can catch us on Unfiltered, 2 to 6, Monday through Friday, 97.5 The Fanatic, 97.5thefanatic.com, and NBC Sports Philadelphia. You ready?
Let's do it, man.
You sure you're ready?
Let's do it.
Got five tough questions here.
Look, I was born in 89, but I was ready in 88.
There we go. All right, this one is from John Kruk. We all know him. Why must we deal with this mediocre offensive game plan week in and week out? And why must we listen to Sirianni defend Patullo? It's week 11. It's late.
Well, I mean, first of all, the second part of your question, what is Nick Sirianni supposed to say? He's going to defend Kevin Patullo. Kevin Patullo is molding an offense in the vision of Nick Sirianni. Philosophically, this is what the Eagles are going to be. This is what they want to be under Nick Sirianni. Risk averse, protect the football, play complementary football, make some plays, take your shots when you get the chance, but it's not really going to change. So you can look at it as week 11, you can look at it as week 16. It's not going to change. There's going to be games where you see an offensive outburst, but more or less you're going to see them continue to move the football and take their shots wherever they can strategically while playing good defense. It's under Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. I'm sorry, that's the way that they play football.
And conservative. I mean, bottom line is conservative football. When you have a situation where your head coach, and by the way, this isn't like a private thing. They've had this out there from the beginning of the season that they are their number one priority, protect the football. Which to me takes a lot away from Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and I want to add to your point there. Jalen Hurts in 588 passes has thrown 2 interceptions. That's a winning recipe, and it's hard to dispute how successful they've been coming out of that bye week last year under Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. So they found a recipe for success, and they are of the mindset that they'll win whatever, regardless of what it looks like. So that's going to have to come with it.
All right, B Stout 25. If the offense becomes, and I'm putting in quotes, average,
okay,
are the Eagles' favorite to win the Super Bowl? That's part one.
Yes, and I think you look at last season, they had the running game to hang their hat on, but the passing offense under Saquon Barkley, the Saquon Barkley era, there's been no evidence to suggest or support this notion that the passing offense is going to be explosive or elaborate or intricate. So yeah, I believe that they can win this way. They're going to continue to win this way, and the track record would support that.
All right, and the other part of the question was, can they become a top 10/15 offense by the end of the season?
I don't think so. If we're this deep into the season and this is the product that you're seeing, no. But they're also 8-2, so they're finding ways to move the football, and they're aggressive, typically in the red zone, that they need to get there more frequently. But no, I don't think you're going to see that because, again, I go back to there's no evidence to suggest, aside from the Giants game, that they're going to be this dynamic offense.
Now I'm going to ask you a question because we saw at the beginning of the Bucs game, the end of the Rams game, we saw a completely different offense. An offense that was attacking. They were throwing the ball downfield. The running game was pretty good. Why can they not put that together, it seems, except with the exception maybe of the Giants game and part of the Vikings game? Why can't they put that all together in a game?
It's a great question. And a lot of what I noticed to those different parts of the game, they're sending a lot of pressure early in those games. And Jaelan and the Eagles offensive line have done a really good job of protecting, and he's been a good job of diagnosing where the pressure's coming from. Now, in the second half, in a lot of these games, you're seeing teams pivot from that, and now they're dropping other players into coverage, and they're playing more zone and things like that. And that's where Jaelan has struggled. He's better against man coverage. So that's a lot of what I chalk it up to.
All right. Now we move on. We know Lane Johnson now has an injury, possibly going on the IR. Don't know yet. Can they survive without him?
I mean, the Eagles are 15-23 without Lane Johnson. But
it's a problem.
Yeah, they're also very productive with Fred Johnson, and the numbers support that. Now, this is going to be an extended sample size for Fred, but I think this trade underscores the importance of Howie Roseman being proactive and trying to fortify the reserve offensive line position. They're familiar with Fred. They play well when he's in there, and he has a good understanding of how Jeff Stoutland wants things blocked up and the overall schematics of how the Eagles play football from an offensive line standpoint. I think they can because they have enough players there as a unit. We'll have to wait and see what happens with Cam Jurgens, but I think that they have enough there.
That's the point I was just going to bring up. Cam Jurgens did not look good on Monday night or Sunday night against the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he comes out of that ball game. That's another concern because now your depth at line becomes, weak.
Right.
Let's face it. I mean, you're going to have two backups possibly starting against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday, and now all of a sudden you really don't have that depth anymore that you kind of counted on. So if somebody else goes down, then you're in big trouble.
That's a great point because the Dallas Cowboys, since the last time the Eagles played them, added Quinnen Williams. And if you're basing it off of last night, they're doing some different things. They're playing more physical, and they can really push the pocket from the interior now. We'll have to wait and see about Cam Jurgens, but I mean, he is someone that clearly wasn't playing at full strength against the Lions. I think Brett Toth, when he's went in there, has played tremendously. And you have to look at it from the Eagles' perspective here. I think they would be better served putting someone like Brett in the lineup who is healthy, who can do some of those things athletically, and give yourself the best chance of putting together your most, your strongest contingent of offensive linemen.
So it sounds like your answer to the question, can they survive, is a resounding yes.
Yes, because of Jeff Stoutland and because of the players that they have there that they have a full confidence in.
I'm just going to say this because this is the way I felt earlier on in the season, is that I felt like a lot of these guys weren't healthy when they were playing, and I think it just showed. Jurgens tried to come back probably a little bit too early. He wasn't ready to come back. Lane Johnson's had, 3 games now that he's been injured in. Landon Dickerson had the knee problem early on in the season. And it's funny because in the Giants game, to me, it seemed like the offensive line, that may have been the only game they were healthy all season.
Yeah, and that was certainly Landon Dickerson's best performance of the season as well. I think the bye week really helped someone like him. Talk about Lane Johnson. He had the foot, he had the ankle, he had the stinger. Now he has the Lis Franc. So we're waiting on news on that. That could potentially be something that they're saying 4 to 6 weeks. I always err on the longer side. That's a pretty significant injury. But yeah, I mean, going back to Cam Jurgens, he hasn't played particularly well this season. He had off-season back surgery in February. And I think that when Brett has been in there, he's performed better. And that's to be expected when you have a healthy center.
All right. Now we're going to go to the other side of the football because this defense looked beatable for much of the beginning of the season. All right. That's the best way I could put it. I didn't think they were terrible. They had holes. All of a sudden you go out and get Jaelan Phillips, and that is the question that Adam has. Did Jaelan Phillips really make this much of a difference?
It's not only Jaelan Phillips. It's the reinsertion of Nakobe Dean, who didn't start to play on the defensive side since the Vikings game. It's getting Nolan Smith back, who's starting to trend in a positive direction in terms of being able to absorb more snaps. But Jaelan Phillips, I don't think we're overstating his importance. When you're seeing how his ability to provide a lot of pressure off the edge, but also set the edge and clean things up for linebackers to make plays, he brings a physical demeanor, he brings a physical mentality, and that kind of complements what they already have there. And that was the missing piece, in my estimation, that this defense needed to push them over the hump. Not only does it help from a pass rush standpoint, but it also helps the secondary, which has a rookie safety like Drew Makuba, which has Adoree Jackson there, who I think has played pretty well over the past couple of weeks. So yes, it's a tremendous acquisition, and it's starting to pay dividends early.
And I think the other thing that goes into this is I truly believe, and I said this all of last year, the trenches mean everything. And when you have Ajomo, you have Davis, and you have Carter, all healthy, it seems now. And it seems like in shape now, because we know that Jalen Carter, quote unquote, was not in the greatest of shape at the beginning of the season, earlier in the year. But I mean, in the last couple of games, I think that's the most noticeable difference. But you're right; it does have to do with Phillips. It does have to do with Nolan Smith also being on the edge, and that just
Nakobe,
and it seems as though everything's just kind of clicking, and it does make the job a lot easier for the secondary.
They don't have to cover as long.
Nope.
So all of a sudden, Adoree Jackson, which I thought got a lot of misguided bile sent in his direction, I think he's settled in and done a pretty nice job.
All right, I'll just ask you a quick question. Eagles-Cowboys coming up. A yawner Or is this going to be an interesting game for the Eagles?
I think this is going to be an interesting game. Look, the wind on Sunday night certainly played a part, and the weather and the frigid temperatures in Green Bay certainly contributed. But this is ideal conditions inside a dome. The Dallas Cowboys defense isn't anywhere close to what the Eagles saw from the Lions and Green Bay. So this is going to be a game in which I think the offense is able to move the football and put up some points. And I think from the Dallas Cowboys standpoint, defensively, they're a different team from when they faced the Eagles the first time, and adding Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson, the linebacker. So it adds a little bit of some intrigue going into it.
Well, there you have it. Eagles mailbag for this week. Also, you can catch myself, Andrew DiCecco, Bill Colarulo, Silvana Kelleher, all on Unfiltered, 2 to 6, Monday through Friday, 97.5 The Fanatic, 97.5thefanatic.com, and NBC Sports Philadelphia. Thanks for watching Unfiltered on YouTube. You could like and subscribe down here. You could also see our other shows over here. Go ahead and watch them all. We love when you watch. The one thing, hey, you could also catch us on 97.5 The Fanatic, 97.5thefanatic.com, and NBC Sports Philadelphia. See you there.